Etapu, Assalamu alaikum, Namaste, Haru Nefer. This is Kisank Ma Kiparu with another exciting video for you. And in this video, we're going to talk about how to use mantras and spells. But before I do that, I want you to hit the like button on this video. And if this is your first time to my channel, welcome. Hit the subscribe button to get notifications on when I go live and when I upload recorded videos. Also, I do have free ebooks for you that expand more on my spiritual teachings. You can scroll down below and click on the links and download them today. Start reading them. If you want to follow that rabbit down the rabbit hole, you can become a Patreon supporter. You can do so for as little as $1, $5, $20 per month. You'll have exclusive access to instructional videos on the esoteric, videos that will teach you how to go one step and beyond, how to meditate, how to invoke spirits for protection, how to create an ergovore or a pendulum, how to work with divination, the oracles, how to do self-hypnosis. So much material. So become a Patreon supporter today. Last but not least, share this video with family and friends so we can get the revolution started. Hetapu. So we're living in dark ages right now. And I hate to bring that news to you. We're living in an age where we have the media telling lies, putting out fear-based programming, propaganda. And if you are not awakened, meaning you don't have your uchat or your third eye awakened, you will fall victim to the subliminal influence, to the overt and the covert manipulation that is going on. And one of the things that we as magical people can do to protect ourselves is to work with the ancient Vedic or Hindu mantras. And the mantras that are out there work in a variety of ways. And what I want to cover with you today is just some of those applications for those mantras. Some of the more older or ancient mantras are very, very powerful. Some sages, present day sages, are known for creating their own mantras. Now, nothing wrong with that, but they haven't been magically charged. You see, the ancient mantras have been charged by thousands and thousands of religious or spiritual practitioners, feeding those energies into the mantras, you know. Now, a mantra basically, traditionally, is a word that is meant to produce a certain sound, a frequency. It does not have a particular meaning to it. So you should understand that. And if you're looking to take a deep dive to find out the meaning of the mantra, you will not find that, because the mantra is specifically geared toward hitting a certain frequency, a certain note. And that note is associated with certain things. See, we understand that there is nothing solid in our reality, or so-called reality. All things are vibrating. And these vibrations are happening on a subatomic level, and everything vibrates. The idea of or being wealthy vibrates at a particular frequency. Money vibrates at a particular frequency. Love, relationships vibrate at a particular frequency. By decoding that frequency and understanding what it sounds like and reproducing that energy or that tone, we can then align ourselves with that thing and then become, as the ancients say, one with it. You know, a lot of individuals remember the probes that went to Mars and Jupiter. They came back with recordings of the sounds of those planets, and those planets have a particular energy associated with them that is translated into the sound, the vibration. Now, as I said before, everything is vibrating at a certain frequency. And if you learn to decode that frequency and to mimic that frequency, then you will align with it. You see, we're living in an infinite number of parallel realities. Notice I said we are living in, meaning that we are not apart from those infinite number of parallel realities, because there's an infinite number of you who are experiencing all of those parallel realities at once in what we call is the singularity. You are only focused on this reality for the time being, but you can easily shift your focus to a new reality, all right? And you are shifting through those infinite number of parallel realities quicker than you could possibly imagine. However, you're only experiencing the reality that is more closest to your expectations and your belief, which is why you don't see much change in your current reality. But in order to make that quantum leap, that big change, all you have to do is start to work with the ancient Vedic mantras. And when you start reciting these mantras, depending on what the mantra is geared toward, you can shift to that reality. So if I'm looking to get a mantra where I can attract wealth, and there are plenty of mantras out there that can do that for you, reciting that mantra and over again changes my core vibrational frequency to align with that parallel reality, to where I can now interact with that thing that I desire most, which is the wealth, all right? The wealth frequency. And we forget that. We're taught in this Western world through Cartesian logic that everything has to have a one-to-one correspondence, meaning that if you want to have a direct influence on something, you must be there, actively, physically involved, and participate in the change. But we know that the universe doesn't operate that way. It operates on based upon nonlinear time space, meaning that to affect change, you don't have to be directly in contact with the very thing that you're trying to acquire. And through that law of attraction, all we have to do is start first and foremost with embodying either the emotion, which translates into the frequency of the thing that we want, and it gets pulled from that parallel reality, the infinite number of realities, into this reality where we can have it and interact with it. So think about that. Keep that in mind. Now, as I mentioned before, there are a lot of us out there who are being victimized by the current reality, being victimized by the mass media propaganda. And it's not our fault, because they are very sophisticated in the machinery that they use, the programming that they use. But there are mantras out there that can psychically protect you against those subliminal influences. And by chanting them, you gain protection. And these mantras fall under the guise of Nekabet and Wajet to put up your psychic defenses, so that you will not be influenced by the oligarchy, by the ruling elite, to do their bidding. All right. The conspiracy theorists had came to me once and said, we don't want to aid the cabal in the bringing in of a new world order. And I spoke to them and said, it is too late for that. The new world order is in place. They're only moving to their next phase of operation. We have to accept the fact that we have already been conditioned and brainwashed. George Orwell saw this in his book 1984. August Huxley saw this in his book A Brave New World. That has already transpired. We are programs, and we are already in full effect. The goal is to divest ourselves of that psychic connection to their mass media propaganda machine. And the way we do that is to put up our psychic fields working with the particular mantras. But as I said before, earlier in this broadcast, there are a number of different mantras that can bring you love, that can bring you health, that can bring you success in your career. One needs to only find the right mantra and recite that mantra. Now, there are some mantras out there that, because of your receptivity, meaning you may be more tuned to the subconscious mind or the right brain, because of your receptivity, you may recite the mantra a few times and see miraculous results, while others may need to recite the mantra for at least 1,000 times before they can see the fruits of their labor. There is no set rule. A lot of sages will tell you to be saved to recite the mantra at least 1,000 times. There's nothing wrong with that. You see, you have a default core frequency, and it always wants to fall back to that frequency. So in order to ensure that you transition to the new reality and acquire the thing that you desire, you will need to focus on that mantra, to recite it daily as much as possible until you bring the new reality to fruition. That is the most important thing. So no one can really say how long that will take. It's magic. It's about trial and error. I could give one mantra to one individual and it's very effective. Another individual, it proves to be useless, innocuous. It doesn't work. That doesn't mean the mantra itself has no power to it. We all have a certain destiny, have a certain core frequency that may not work well with the mantra. This is why when we are going to use a mantra, we first consult the oracles and ask, is this a mantra that we should use? Will this attract the very thing that we desire? And the oracle will reveal that. In the same way, if you are a practicing magician, if you're going to use certain powders and certain herbs, you should do an oracle reading on that. Just because a magical supply shop sells you an herb that says to help you attract wealth doesn't necessarily mean it will work for you. In general, yes, it is used for the purposes of attracting wealth, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you using that will benefit you. This is why, again, the sages brought us and sages and the ancestors brought us the oracles to start using those and to forecast and let us know if these very things will be of benefit to us. And remember that these are all permission slips, meaning the power really is within you. You don't necessarily need a mantra or a spell. You can use visualization and change your emotional state, and that could work just as well. But some of us have a hard time believing in ourselves. We have a hard time placing our faith within ourselves. So we need an outside entity, a tool, a savior, an herb, a mantra that we can place our faith in. So keep that in mind. Now, as I said before, when working with a mantra, you'll need to select a mantra that aligns with what you want, and then you should do an oracle reading to see if that mantra will bring you that very thing. Now, the reciting of the mantra can be done two ways. It can be done while you're in the meditative trance state, or it can be done on a day-to-day basis doing your daily mundane routine. Either one will work. You don't have to always sit down in a meditation state reciting the mantra over and over again. You can do this while sweeping, while cleaning, keep reciting the mantra. And again, the more you're reciting the mantra, the more energy it builds up. Now, people often ask, well, how you correctly pronounce the mantra, and there, of course, is a correct way to pronounce the mantra, and you should work with your spiritual teacher, your guru, your sage, to get that correct pronunciation. But the main thing you want to focus on is the vibration, making sure that when you recite the mantra, you can feel it in your vocal cord. You can feel that vibration, the resonance of it. That is the most important thing. And to get it to that right tone, you'll need to recite it over and over again, and then you will build the momentum and you will start to feel it resonate within your body. And then you'll know you're on the right track. It is not meant to be mechanical, meaning if you're reciting it and you're not feeling anything, then that could be an issue. You should also know that our ancient languages were mantras, that we embedded mantras within our languages, that when we spoke, there were certain words that we said that had frequency, had clicks, had tones that would transform our reality, our 4D experience. But the ruling elite, one thing they were smart at doing was not only getting rid of our religions, but getting rid of our language. They had to do that because they knew that within that language there was power, and they knew also within that language there was no dichotomy, no contradiction. We didn't have a language that spoke about how there was an outside world apart from us. Our language spoke to the oneness of all things and how we were connected to the universe. But again, they had to quickly do away with that. Now, once you understand that in reciting the mantra over and over again, you should feel that in your vocal cords, you should feel that resonance. The most important thing to understand from there is to keep up and be consistent with the work. Just because you may not see anything change in the physical world doesn't mean that things aren't happening behind the scenes. You have to understand that we're living in space-time continuum, that there is a delay between what you see and what actually is going to transpire. So your mind is where everything is. There is no external world. So in your mind, the minute you imagine something, it appears, it happens, but there is that delay in the physical world to catch up. So you have to give it time. That's the most key aspect to this. Now I want to move on briefly, talk a little bit about spells because those are important. But before I do that, if you're interested in working with mantras, there's a really great book out there called the Metu Netta, Volume 6 by Raul Nefamin, and this has 72 mantras, the mantras that we use by the goddess Sekert. So check this book out. Awesome book in terms of finding the right mantra for you. So if you're looking for love, if you're looking for wealth, if you're looking for health, look in that book. There is a mantra that you can utilize that will assist you in that endeavor. Now, when we're working with spells, one of the things I do, especially in my program, Reality Transurfing, where it is based on hypnotherapy, where I'm putting people under into a hypnosis state and feeding them a new program or post-hypnotic suggestions, as some may call it, the one thing I utilize is, well, in NLP or hypnosis, we can call those things kind of patterns, or like I said, post-hypnotic suggestions or affirmations. But in Wicca, they're known as spells, and they work and they're very powerful, especially if you're already in a receptive hypnosis state. So, in other words, if I place you in a deep state of trance and tell you that you are attractive, that you attract any and all men, you will believe that. If I put you into that state and tell you that women are attracted to you, you will believe that without question, because the subconscious mind doesn't filter out, it doesn't discriminate. It automatically takes what is suggested as truth. And we know that when you are tapping into the subconscious mind and when you're implanting those seeds, what's going to happen is not only do you accept it because you're in that receptivity state as truth, as gospel, but we know that anything that the subconscious mind accepts to its deep core, it works to transform the physical reality to align with that. Do you understand? This is why reality doesn't exist apart from the observer. Whatever belief system that you hold strongest to becomes manifested into our reality, and you interact with that reality. You are interacting with a holographic experience of your own creation, not of anybody else's creation, based on your core belief systems. And if you're a person who is very emotional, very receptive, then you are a very good, whether you realize it or not, reality generating machine. All one has to do is make certain suggestions to you framed in the right way, and your spirit will take it and begin to work on manifesting it. But the first thing your spirit's going to do is it's going to replace the software program with a new program, the one that has been implanted while you're in the hypnosis or trance state. It's going to replace that program. And then the second phase of that operation is that it's going to work to manifest that as part of your reality so that you can interact with it. You understand? Now, moving on, as I kind of hinted at earlier, there are certain prerequisites and conditions for the subconscious mind to take in something and to start to work to generate it into a reality. Just because I put you in the hypnosis state, the trance state, and give you a post-hypnotic suggestion doesn't immediately assume that it will become part of the default long-term memory. You must understand that there are some things that are implanted in you that just don't take root. And this is because it doesn't align with your already preconceived belief system. If it contradicts that, then there is that dichotomy, there's that battle in what we call the ecosystem of your belief system. Because within that ecology of your psyche, there are different beliefs battling it out for domination. And then within the beliefs, you have your core beliefs, and then you have your sub beliefs or your subroutines. And those subroutines will kick in once the main default belief is disabled. And then out crops this other belief system, the subroutine, which you didn't know was hiding there. So it's very important for the hypnotherapist or the hypnosis or the priest or priestess to really sit down and and take an audit of your ideas, your belief systems, because we need to understand those things in order to navigate around that and implant the right belief system that won't go against the preconceived notions that you already have and contradict those core belief systems. And what that could create, if it's not done properly, create a psychosis, one where belief systems are battling it out and you become confused. And then you manifest a very skewed reality, and that you don't want. So going back to where I stated earlier was this. There are certain preconditions that allow your spirit, while in the hypnosis state, to accept a new belief system. And this is where we're getting into the incantation and the spells. And these spells work just as well in a ritual that you may perform or in a hypnosis session. And there are two things that have been proven to be very effective. The first thing is rhymes. If you are writing out an affirmation, a truism, if you could make it rhyme, then that is very, very powerful in the way the spirit will receive it. The other thing is rhythm. If there's a natural rhythm to the spell, then it is conducive to the spirit taking it in. Those two things combined have a really profound impact on the subconscious mind. This is why you will see people will go into a trance state when they're hearing a rap, when they're hearing a good song. It takes them to an alternate state of consciousness. And that being because the songwriters, the singers know how to purposely construct the lyrics in such a way to create that rhythm and create that rhyme so that it penetrates deep into your subconscious mind and stays there. They also take it a step further by lacing it with sexual innuendos because they know, and the oligarchy knows this as well, that America especially, we suppress our sexual desires. And because we suppress our sexual desires, they stay hidden in the shadow self. And we battle with that all of the time. And your alcohol companies, your tobacco companies, and your Madison Avenue ad agencies know that all they have to do is implant their advertising campaigns, their song, their music, their movies, lace them with hidden sexual innuendos, and that will tap into the shadow self. It appeals to the shadow self. This is why you can look at an ad not knowing why you like it, but you love it. Because hidden within that ad is a sexual metaphor. And the same way goes for the spells and incantations. Because what you're doing with the rhythm, with the rhyme, is that you're trying to invoke that sexual kundalini energy within you. And when you invoke that energy, it then works to transform your reality. And keep in mind that the spell that you write, the subconscious mind, or we'll call it the spirit, as I always say, doesn't discriminate between right or wrong. It's not going to say, oh, this is very explicit, this is a very bad thing, we're not going to manifest it. It doesn't discriminate in that way. It doesn't have those lines of demarcation. Whatever it is you wish, it will manifest. It's the same energy. There's no good or bad energy to it. It's neutral. It's how you utilize it. So when you're writing your spell, your incantation, or what we would call in NLP is your pattern, make sure that you include these items and they become very, very powerful and potent ways to transform not only your psyche, but your reality when you're in that receptive state. This is when they talked about, the Bible talks about Jesus turning water into wine. That's an old hypnosis trick where you put somebody in trance and you give them water and you give them the suggestion that it's wine, and they will believe it and act as if their blood alcohol content is full of alcohol, you know, and they will, and there've been many studies to verify this, act as if they're intoxicated, you know. That is showing you the power of the subconscious mind. On the same note, you can have someone who is suffering from an illness, and in a trance state, give them the post-hypnotic suggestion that this pill I'm going to give you is going to cure you. And then after they leave the trance state, you give them a sugar pill. Their belief will be so strong in that tool or that permission slip to where it will actually cure them. It will actually help them. And they are never the wiser to the fact that all they had was a sugar pill. It's the placebo effect. So I want you to think about that. Now, so going back to where we started was using the mantras or the spells or incantations or affirmations, however you wish to coin them, can be very powerful in your magical day-to-day operations. Put this as part of your arsenal to use. And it can be combined with your ordinary rituals, or they can be combined with your daily mundane routines, however you see fit. But understand that they are powerful and that they work. And you may need to write the correct spell that works for you. Make it very personalized. The more personalized it is, the better it's going, and the more effective it is going to be for you. And as I said before, you can write a spell for yourself and then hand that spell over to your apprentice, initiate, or whoever, and it not be effective. And that's because there's no one size fits all. You know, this is why it's trial and error. And see, all right, this works for me. Let me try and write something that's going to work for you. Let's sit down and have a discussion about what's going on in your head, your psyche, and then I can see how I can tailor my script, my hypnotic script, to the things that are going on in your psyche so that we can get around certain blockages and belief systems. And if we can effectively navigate around those belief systems, we then can implant a new belief system that'll take seed and then blossom into a new reality for you. And this, too, we have to remember not to blame it on the magic itself, because some people will get the herb, they'll get the mantra, and it'll prove ineffective for them. And then they want to blame it on, oh, it doesn't work. I tried that magic stuff, it doesn't work. But that's not true. It has taken some master magicians years to get to their level. This is why they hold tightly to their spells, to their mantras, to their rituals that they have created. They just don't share them with any new initiate that pops up out of nowhere, because it has taken them time to perfect these magical practices. And then not going to make them readily available to the public. That would be ridiculous and irresponsible of them. So think about that. I want to thank you for tuning in, and I hope this has been a benefit to you. And if you get an opportunity, please donate to the channel. Your donation would be appreciated. This is Kasank Ma Keperu, son of Ma and Tahuti. My aunt is the beautiful goddess Heteru. Until my next video, I'm in Ra.